everyone, it's Mithrilda and welcome back to my journey of learning to draw. At this point, I'm pretty sure this is my 4th time restarting Drawbox, but that is no problem. Sometimes it takes a winding path to find the right way. As you can see, my setup is a little bit different this time. Instead of the cute sketchbook, I'm going to just be using printer paper as Uncomfortable recommends. And a little bit of a channel update. I'm pretty sure I'm putting my mentorship on hold because in these current circumstances in the world, I can't afford to be spending so much on art. In addition, I will be illustrating the Drawbox audiobook digitally rather than in pen and paper for the same reason. I also just don't feel comfortable going outside to restock on art supplies, so I'll be doing digital as much as I can to preserve what I have. Also, I will be performing experiment version 2 on how long a Drawbox fine liner can last, because I sort of ruined the last one by not keeping up with Drawbox and also leaving it uncapped, like constantly, and killing it that way. I'll be taking a fresh fine liner, marking it with a piece of tape, and using only this pen for Drawbox stuff. I'll check back in when it starts to lose its juiciness. I have a good feeling about this time because I'm definitely in a different place now where I can really focus on my art and YouTube, and I truly don't have another pressing responsibility like my actuarial exam, which I was sort of in denial about studying for the last time I tried to do Drawbox. As a good student of Uncomfortable, I will be starting from the beginning. I'm also excited to see his rewritten lessons, and I'll be making those audiobook recordings as I draw through the lessons myself. As I read through Lesson 0 for the 3rd time, I felt like Uncomfortable did a really great job in the rewrite, especially appealing to a problem that both I and countless other student artists have felt, not feeling ready to draw whatever it is we wanted to learn to draw for in the first place. I'll quote one of the videos from Lesson 1 now. The issue is that many students will see a structured course and feel grateful to finally have something that will tell them exactly what to do next. It provides them with a nice map to follow, and for a time, they don't have to make those choices for themselves. While that means they're usually eager to follow the instructions exactly as they're written, which is a good thing, it also means that they're allowing the course to dictate how all their time is spent. This happens because those students like the idea of drawing, but more than that, they like the idea of drawing things that look good. They may have a big collection of things that they ultimately want to draw, but they feel that they are not ready. They take solace in the idea that they have a map they can follow, and maybe at the end, they will finally be ready. Here's the truth: they won't be. Even if they don't burn out on their own, they may develop a lot of technical skill, but will still struggle to apply it, and will always think there's something else they need to learn first. These students are the ones who tell you, "I can't draw that." What they really mean is, "I can't draw that well." They shy away from situations where they will draw things badly because their enjoyment comes from the end result. This is not a healthy or sustainable way to look at it. If this describes you, don't worry, it describes a lot of people. The reason you've looked for a set of lessons to help you draw better is because you've come to that realization all artists do at some point. We're bad at this. Many of us drew when we were younger, and we do so with abandon. We didn't care if they came out well. It was just a lot of fun to scribble furiously and give a little more life to the stories we tell ourselves. This is what we need to recapture, to learn how to derive enjoyment from the process of drawing rather than from the end result. Drawing just for its own sake, not to impress our friends, the internet, or even ourselves. Unfortunately, this means we have to draw. Draw what? Draw all the things we know that we're not ready for, all the things we know will turn out badly. We need to face the frustration head on until we can develop just a little more comfort with the idea of drawing badly. This is what we need because it will give us the endurance and the tenacity to get through all of the tedium. Exercises exist not to keep you entertained, but to develop your abilities, and some of the most efficient paths aren't fun. You need to make your own fun and constantly remind yourself why you're on this journey in the first place. I'm sorry, I basically just made his entire video again here, but it really spoke to me. I remember in my first time through Drawbox saying those exact words, that I was so happy there was something telling me what to do so I didn't have to be lost in the world of everything I could be doing. And I let my time be dictated by only Drawbox, and I felt trapped by my lack of skill, so I wouldn't draw anything else. And I burned out, and I felt deeply unsatisfied and unhappy with my progress. I'd drawn all these lines and boxes, and for what? I still couldn't draw anything I wanted to. Since then, I've had to find my own path back here, and I've had to prove to myself that I can learn and that I can improve. And I did that by seeking out resources, reading them or watching them, and practicing and being invested in the outcome. I feel like a lot of people interpret art practice as not caring about the outcome because it's supposed to be bad, but for me, I just don't try as hard when I think about it that way because why try if the outcome doesn't matter? I feel like it's important for me to be invested in the outcome and my progress. And that outcome is the feeling of having poured out all my energy and brain power into understanding a concept, the satisfaction of inching a bit closer to that comprehension, the minute differences day by day that add up to fluidity and confidence over time. I think it's important for me not to feel satisfied until I've given it my all, whether it's trying to learn something as best as I can or trying to have as much fun as possible. Not caring about what the actual drawing looks like doesn't mean not caring about the end result. I think the big step is shifting the definition of end result from how pretty the art is to how much effort you put into solving problems, answering your own questions, observing things closely for your visual library, and coming out the other side with new tools or your current tools a bit sharper than before to tackle the next project. Of course, this is only for the 50% of art which is supposed to be focused on learning and improving. This all goes out the window for the for fun art, where I get to actually apply the tools I've been gathering and sharpening, and it feels amazing when I realize that something I struggled with a few months ago has become so easy and instinctual, and now I have new problem areas to tackle next time I do study art. So, as I'm writing this bit of the script, I'm on my second day of Drawbox, and I haven't done any drawing yet. I spent 30 minutes reading about half of Lesson 0 and watching the videos yesterday. Today, I finished up Lesson 0 and read Lesson 1 up until the first exercise for an hour. So that's an hour and a half of just learning and not drawing. I want to emphasize that you have to understand that this is Drawbox. It's drawing, but it's also learning the technicals of the understanding and reasoning, so please make sure to treat it as an important part of following this course, and realize that a day just spent reading is as valuable as one spent drawing. Also, I like how he added a bit in the superimposed lines description about how you will notice that you're not going to be able to see where your pen is drawing because your hand will be blocking it. This will make it particularly difficult to guide the stroke as you go. Ultimately, that's the point. If you remember back to the lesson, you're not meant to guide the stroke as you execute it. You need to be pushing forward with a confident, persistent pace, trusting in your muscle memory and letting your arm do what it does best. Some students find that looking towards the end point can help in this regard. I was really confused about that my first time through, which I talked about in my very first drawing video on this channel, and I'm happy that he's addressed it directly in the lesson now. Also, during my first few times through Drawbox, I used a sketchbook as opposed to this loose printer paper I'm using now. And in the past, I ran into the problem of my pen sort of forming a groove in the paper as I was drawing, which resulted in the new line following the previous line exactly or jumping off of it, and it was just really hard to control the pen after I'd drawn a few lines. Well, guess who isn't having that problem now with a single piece of paper? I guess the softness of the sketchbook was making the grooves, and a single piece of paper on a hard table isn't enough to form any noticeable groove at all. I can't believe that this was the solution all along, and I've been feeling kind of like a dummy for trying to be all fancy and shooting myself in the foot. Another point in favor of just using printer paper for these exercises. Another difference I felt between my first time and now is my willingness to just turn the paper. It felt sort of blasphemous, like cheating to turn the paper for an easier line, but now I realize that it's more silly not to do it. I feel like my skills are much more developed now than before, and even now I say, cheating at what? On who? Who makes the rules? What kind of pride am I trying to save? What am I trying to prove by handicapping myself for no reason? Spoiler alert, There's no benefit, and it only makes drawing harder. I myself would not be impressed if I saw someone who could draw perfect lines in every direction and nothing else. I would wonder why they spent so much time on a small part of drawing when they could be making real progress in drawing rather than in multi-directional line making. I would like to say that on day 2, during the superimposed lines, there was a moment where the ink sort of stopped flowing very smoothly, and I was pretty concerned because it's a brand new fine liner. I was pretty sure I wasn't pressing too hard and damaging the tip, and I was keeping it as straight up from the paper as I could. Then the next day, I came back to it, did a few hours of drawing, and everything was 100% fine and super juicy. I have no idea what happened with that, but am I supposed to let the pen rest more? Like, is it a bad idea to be using the same pen every day? Let me know, because I am definitely not a pen and ink expert. This is just what Drawbox told me to use. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching my first Drawbox update in a hot minute. I would just like to mention that this video is coming out exactly 2 years after my first Drawbox video ever on this channel, on March 26th, 2018. 2 years ago, I would not have expected myself to be starting Drawbox again, but hey, winding path and all that. The studying and drawing in this video has taken me about 4 hours from the very beginning, over the course of 3 days. I plan on putting out more Drawbox updates pretty regularly, as well as audiobook versions of the lessons and other learning resources as well. Be sure to subscribe to keep updated with my progress. Join the Discord to talk with a lot of supportive art friends, and give me feedback, critique, and ask any questions. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that talent is a myth. Now, get back to work.